Alright, what is going on, guys? It's Ross here. Welcome back to yet another video. So, from the title of this video, you probably think it's a little bit clickbait, and that's entirely understandable. But I want to explain to you guys a concept that's it's employed in a lot of online gaming quite a lot, and you probably think, oh, this is gonna be a lie, this is gonna be bullshit. There's no way that any change can really make me win more games in ranked. Any simple change. But I want to explain this concept to you, and you might have actually heard about it before, because honestly, it's not that underground, but it's something that could be employed in League of Legends. Now, this is not without its downsides as well, so I'm not saying this in a way like, okay, this will definitely make the game better, this will definitely do this, definitely do that, because honestly, it has its upsides, but it has a lot of downsides as well that will be explained throughout. I'm just playing some Master Yi jungle here because brain AFK, of course. But hopefully we can do okay whilst we get this sorted. So the concept I want to talk to you guys about today is the concept of a game mechanic within matchmaking and within games that have you queue up against basically PvP games. It's called the Prisoner's Island concept. It's called Prisoner's Island. And that name alone might tip you off to the kind of idea that we're talking about. So the concept behind this idea, you have all your player base. They queue up for games, they get put against other players. However, if some of those players step out of line, if some of those players flame, they leave games, they're toxic, any of these reasons, a number of reasons, they get sent to Prisoner's Island. And what Prisoner's Island is, it's an isolated environment wherein only people from the same environment are allowed to be matched with that person. So, what you're doing is essentially taking out a decent chunk of the population of players who have been shown to be incredibly toxic. They don't really learn from their bans, but they haven't been permabanned just yet. They get put in an environment where they're not able to corrupt or harass people that don't really deserve it. They're only put with people of their kind. They're put with people that have proven that they're exactly the same way as these people. Now, there's goods to that and there's bads to that. So first of all, we'll go over the good points of that, of course. That is, of course, there is the theory that you're going to get far better quality games if you cut off a large population of the players who have proven to be toxic, the corrupt games with their just general assholishness. You're gonna get better quality games when you play because there's a less likely chance of somebody being in your game to flame. That's the concept, at least. That's one of the strongest points, and I think honestly it's a decent enough idea in the theory, but it's something that has to be weighed up against the negatives. Now the pro of it all is kind of just one big point. You get better quality games. With those better quality games, you're probably more likely to win more games because your team they have a track record of not being toxic, they have a track record of never giving up, all this kind of stuff. However, there's a couple of bad points to it too. So let's go over some of the negatives of an environment like that. So of course, with Prisoner's Island, you're cutting off a large population of the players. Those players get massively extended wait times, and you do too, because you're cutting off a population of players. Even if you don't really notice it, you still get a longer queue time for your games. Now, a lot of people say this about the autofill system as well. They don't mind waiting an extra couple of minutes if it means that they get a good game. If they get a decent enough game in the role that they want, that is something that I've always advocated in favor of when it comes to autofill. I don't mind waiting an extra 5 minutes to play mid lane if I want to play mid lane and only mid lane. That's why I feel like autofill is such a dumb thing, but it exists, it's there, there's nothing we can do about it just yet apart from me complaining about it all the time. You get a bigger queue time. That's one of the bad things. Of course, it's not exactly the biggest negative in the world. That also means that the people that are on Prisoner's Island, they're likely to get pretty huge queue times as well. Not that we would care because we're all non-toxic players, we're all good guys who would never do anything wrong. Another couple of negatives is, how would you implement this into the game? Would it be a replacement for banning? Would it be a replacement for chat restriction? Would chat restriction even be required? It's kind of a little bit complicated, but it's an interesting concept that I'd like to hear your opinions on. So, in terms of negatives as well, okay, what would the threshold be? Somebody maybe disconnects once every blue moon, and then they end up getting stuck in Prisoner Island for maybe like 3 or 4 games, and then they end up having like the worst games of their life. Obviously not an ideal scenario. What would the threshold be for that? Could you get there accidentally? And if you do get there, how long would you remain there for based on the severity of your actions? So if I flame one in game really, really hard, am I gonna get stuck on Prisoner Island for 10 games just because I lost my cool for one game? Or is it gonna be like equal opposite? You get one game where you're an asshole, you get one game on Prisoner Island. Is that how it's gonna work? It's a system that would need an awful lot of fiddling around with and trying to get the right ratio of actions to punishment. As well as this, there is also the fact that, yeah, okay, I guess these people are assholes. The people that are put on Prisoner Island, they're proven to be dickheads in one form or another, but not all cases are the same. Some person could just be really, really sarcastic towards their team, and I guess it's flaming because you're being really passive-aggressively toxic. But then that's not exactly the same as telling someone that they want, you know, them to get cancer, to kill themselves. They hope that their fucking mother dies. All that bullshit that you've seen in solo queue numerous times, all understandably. It's to the point where whenever I see this, I cannot take it seriously because I just think the person's being ironic because it is so stereotypical to say bullshit like that I just cannot take it. I cannot take it seriously. So you're in this environment and you're putting people that have just got a really bad internet connection, and you're also putting them with people that tell people to get cancer on a daily basis and die. Not quite the same thing, is it? Bit of an issue. So would you have subsections of Prisoner Island, or would you? What would you do in that scenario? There's not really. There's far too many variables in terms of things that can happen or things that you can do. I think it just confused matters ever so slightly there. One of the major points as well on the negative side of things is, does Riot or does really any game want to cultivate an environment wherein it is intentionally toxic? People are put there for a reason because they are really, really toxic. But do Riot really want to create an environment where it's not encouraged, but it's treated as being a normal everyday circumstance? That ooh. Okay, I got fucked, but we got Draven. So yeah, obviously Riot don't want to like encourage an environment where people. It's not exactly like it's not punished. You could probably still get punished and banned on Prisoner Island, but the idea that, you know, we're all put in this place. We've already all been caught. Why not? It's like when someone's in prison. You know, somebody stabs a guy in prison, and the reason for it being is they're like, well, I'm already here. I'm probably going to be here for the rest of my life, so I may as well make sure that people know that I'm the fucking top dog here. They stab another prisoner, they do whatever, and they get a life sentence. That's pretty much it. As well as that, you know, obviously, as I said earlier, the player base. The queue times for Prisoner Island, I would hope, and this is probably me having a misguided faith in humanity, it would be astronomically low. Queue times would probably be incredibly ridiculous. I don't know what the ban rates are, like how many bans people put out, how many bans Riot put out. If it's a lot of people get banned per day, if this system was implemented, if there would be a large queue pool, if there would be a large amount of people, it would probably be like queuing for threes at 4 AM on a fucking Monday night with that amount of players. Like, there's just gonna be nobody there. But if there was, I don't know. It's such a strange concept, and I've heard this concept before, but I don't know if it's an idea or a concept that is really talked about all that much, especially in relation to League of Legends. I've never really heard people talking about this concept of the game. I know Riot Light is probably, I think he's talked about it a little bit, and he explained some of the pros and cons of it, if I remember rightly. But I don't think Riot were in any favor one way or the other. I guess they're just not really looking to change the system in the way it is. But consider a world where, you know, the satisfaction that you would get knowing that that asshole that flamed you all game, you reported him, he's probably going to end up getting flamed twice as hard in his next 5 games or something on Prisoner Island, man. Would that be satisfying? Would that be worth the sacrifice of a couple extra minutes in your queues? Would that be worth the sacrifice of potentially just better quality games, or a complete fucking end to toxicity in the game? And I say end to toxicity. Obviously, toxicity is never gonna fucking end. But at the same time, if you have such a strong deterrent, as basically saying, Riot saying, if you fuck with our game, we will fuck with you. I tried to Alpha Strike! So yeah, I'm interested in what you guys have to think about this. Whether it's a foreign concept to you or not, I'd encourage you, if you want to learn a little bit more about it, do some Googling on it. All you need to look up is Prisoner Island and gaming. And you're likely to find a couple articles on the concept of it and what it's about. It's an incredibly interesting social thing to me, because it's not just about the punishment. It's about the psychological effect on players knowing what that punishment is. That is really, really, really interesting to me. Whether or not that would affect players, because they would almost be forced to be less toxic because they don't want to end up with other toxic people, and they would, as such, it would almost be like behavior reinforcements. So like, let's say a dog shits on the floor, you smack his ass, and that dog knows now not to shit on the floor. It's kind of like that, I guess. But instead of smacking them on the ass, the paddle is Prisoner Island, and their ass is their game account. So I've explained this. I've probably just convoluted everything. I've made things really, really, really difficult to understand. And this gameplay has it's not been the greatest, but by God, we out here and we trying. I'm just gonna go balls to the walls right now. You're not gonna get away, boy. Yeah. Woo! Well, anyway, guys, that'll probably be the end of the video for today. A little bit of a psychological one for you today. Just something that's really interesting to me. Probably not as much so to you, but hey, it's my channel. If there's any ye plays in the rest of this game, I'll be putting them at the end around here, so you can enjoy my gameplay, because you know that's what we're all here for. If there isn't, then this will be the end. I'll see you tomorrow. Hope you have a good one. Take it easy. Got a YA coming out soon. Hopefully it's not Galio, because by God, getting a game on that fucker is difficult, and I'm not playing blinds because I don't want to kill myself just yet. But yeah, I'm just gonna spoil it. It's Cassiopeia if you watch this video. But yeah, that was the second most upvoted one. I'll try and get Galio in the future though. But yeah, take it easy. Have a good one. Peace and love in the Middle East.